Okay, so now we'll start looking at the connection-oriented sockets. So we'll start with a simple program that lets you to have a client connect a server, and the server sends a greeting message to the client. So we can call the kind of server like our receiver, but server can also send something. The client is like more or sender, but the client can also receive something, as we'll see in the programs. So typically the server will be started first and we'll let the clients to connect to it. Okay, so we should start a server in most of our programs, if not all of them. uh, so again, you import the two packages, java.net and java.io, and so I call class connection server main as usual. So what I'm going to do in this program is let the server to run on a specific port, and if any client connects to that server, the server will send a welcome message. Okay, so I'm getting the welcome message as a command line argument, and the port number at which I want to run the server also as a command line argument. Now we use two classes in this connection-oriented sockets. One is a server socket and the other is a socket class. The server socket is mainly to accept incoming connection requests, and once a client connects to the server, the server socket, a method of server socket, as we'll quickly see, will spawn an object of class socket, and that's the socket that is really used to communicate with a particular client. So this is like if you're going to a restaurant, you'll have a person waiting in the front table or desk, as welcoming you, and then the person will, we call it as a receptionist basically, and the person will go and place you in a table and then come back to the front desk and wait for another client. So after you sit in the table, another server waiter will come and basically serve you. So that's the same thing. So the server socket will basically wait for incoming client requests, and once a client request arrives, the server socket is going to spawn an object of class socket, and that's the socket we will use to uh, communicate with a particular client. So let's see that. So this is the server socket class, and I am instantiating an object of class server socket. So this is the name I came up with, connection socket. You could give any name for your server socket object. So this is a constructor, and it basically takes integer argument, which is the server port number in which you want to run the server. So this port number should be known to everyone, right? So again, you should use the last 4 digits of a J number, or add something to make it more than 1024. And then what you do is you call the accept method on the connection socket, and which is a server socket object, right? So this is like our receive method. It's like a blocking call, which means until a client connects to a server, the execution of the server socket as it is programmed here will not continue beyond this line. So the server is basically waiting for an incoming client request. So now let's go to the client program and see how that functions. So we have again the client. If you want to request or connect to a server, you need to know the IP address of the machine where the server is running and the port number at which the server is running on that machine. The server process, the particular server that is going to serve you. So I get the name of the machine and do all the get by name to get the IP address of the machine, and then get the port number as an integer argument. Then I call this socket constructor. So socket is again the name of the class, and client socket is basically the object name. So you could have any name for your object. So this is a constructor that takes two arguments: the IP address of the host, which the INET address basically, to which you want to connect, and the port number of the server process running on that host. So so now once when the client is connecting to when this line executes, basically the request will be sent to the server socket, so to the server. So the server socket will be now activated. This accept method will be unblocked, and now the server is going to basically send a message to the client. So to send something, okay, so to send, we'll use very minimal classes, so it's easy to remember. To send a message or any information, basically a message could be anything. Okay, so let's put it like that, and then, or to send data, let's put it like that. And then buffered reader is the class we'll use to read data, or to, yeah, so to receive, you can say. So this is to send out data. So this is printing to the socket, printing, sending to the socket, and this is like reading kind of input from the socket. So you're reading from, or taking the input from the socket, whereas this is printing, or you can say output to the socket. Okay, so these are the two classes we'll use. So now the what we need here is a print stream, because the server wants to send a greeting message to the client. So print stream is the name of the class, and socket output is the name of the object. So again, you could have any name for your object. So it's a constructor. So the way I do that is I just okay, I should tell this. So when this accept method gets activated, so remember, you see what here, the accept method is called on the server socket object, right, which is waiting for the incoming request. And once a request comes, as you see here, the accept method returns an object of class socket. So like the receptionist is going and seating you in a table, a server will come and serve you, like that. Once the client connects to the server, the accept method gets unblocked and it returns an object of class socket. Okay, and you can name the object any name you want. I just name it data socket. So this is the socket object that you'll use to communicate with that particular client. Okay, so what you will do is you call the data socket, which is basically an object of class socket, dot get output stream. So you want to output something into a stream, so you call this get output stream method on this socket object and wrap it up and call this as a constructor, pass it as an argument to this constructor, to the print stream class. So now you have an object of class print stream. So now, like you say system.out.println, call the println method on this print stream object, which is socket output in this case, and pass the message, whatever you want to send as a greeting message. And this is a local print statement, just telling that the response has been sent to the client. Now this server does not do anything else. It's a very simple server. So it just waits for one client connection, and once a client connects, it sends a greeting message. And also you should make sure when you are sending something with the connection oriented sockets like this, you should call the flash method on the socket output, which is the socket object. The print stream object. The socket output is an object of class print stream, right? So what the flash method does is, because the operating system can so the message will be, once you say println, right, the message will be in the socket buffer, in the buffer of your network interface card actually. So for it to be sent out, it could be sent out anytime. Okay, you don't need to call the flash method if you are willing to wait for whenever the buffer, the network interface card is scheduled to be sent out. That's fine. But if you want to push, kind of send it out as soon as possible, once you want to println, you want the message to be sent out from the buffer, from the network interface card, you explicitly call the flash method on the socket output on the print stream, so that the message is sent out from the machine. Okay, so as a general practice, make sure you call the flash method on the print stream object, so that the message will be sent out right away. And then you can close the socket object, because you're not going to send out anything else. And then you can also close the connection socket, which means it's a very simple server, because you could close this socket because you're done with serving this particular client. But again, as I said, this server is a very simple server, just designed to serve only one client. So after that client has been sent this greeting message, you don't need to do anything, so you can even close the server socket. Okay, now so the server has sent a welcome message, so it is time to receive that message or read that message from the socket. So for that, you will use the buffered reader class, and this is the name of the object, which is called BR. You could again name it anything. So this is the constructor. The way this constructor is constructed is, you see here, You can use the same thing in your programs too. So I call the get input stream on the client socket. So again, this is the name of the socket object of the socket class that you instantiated from the client side. So get input stream and wrap it up as a construct argument for the new for this input stream reader. Okay, and then further wrap it up for this buffer reader. So you can use the same syntax. Okay. So now from the buffered reader, we know that the server has sent a line, because when you say ln, it means you're sending this whatever the string messages, and then terminating with a new line character. So you can read that line. That's what this does. And once you read it as a line, it comes out as a string, and you can print that string. So that's what this print statement does. And then you don't need to do anything in this particular process, so you just close this client socket. So always make it as a good practice to close your sockets if they're not going to be used further. So let me run this two programs and see how it works. Let's compile it. Java C connection client.java, Java C connection server.java. So now it's time to start the server. Java connection server. The first argument is welcome message, as you might notice, welcome message, and then followed by the port number. So I'm going to pass a welcome message because it is args of 0. Okay, so welcome to the world of sockets. Then the second message, second argument is going to be the port number. So let me just use this. So now the client is going to connect to the particular server running at that particular port number, IP address and port number. So we need the local host and then the port number. So Java connection client. So once you see here, this send response thing prints out once only the client connects to the server, and then you print it. Okay, and then this is received and then printed. Okay. So let me stop here.